All right, welcome back. In this training section, we are going to go ahead and break down the costs when it comes to a business phone number for business calling as well as text messaging. Again, our goal here is to empower you with the knowledge and information so that way you understand, hey, I'm not surprised. I'm not confused. I know exactly what it is that I am getting myself into. So we are going to have two options that we are going to go ahead and break down. There's going to be a cost breakdown for what we call the normal local phone number and text messaging. And then there is the toll-free phone number and text messaging. Okay, now I want to go ahead and make this clear right now. And you're going to see me repeat this 3 or 4 times throughout this training section, is that for 99.9% of you, toll-free is not going to be the best option. You are going to be going ahead and proceeding with the normal local phone number and text message option, but I'm going to break both of them down for you so that way you're educated and empowered to understand what the difference between those two is even in the first place. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down what is the normal local phone and text messaging. So the normal local text messaging, what this means is that it's basically a normal number that has an area code. So for example, if you live in Dallas, Texas, that might be like 469. If you live in Orlando, Florida, that's like 407, right? If you live in Altamont, Florida, that's like 321. That is a normal local phone and text messaging number. Right now, what are the costs that are involved with that? There's going to be one-time costs, and then there are going to be ongoing costs. Again, very nominal, but let me go ahead and break these down for you. When it comes to the one-time costs, there is a brand registry cost. This is going to be that A2P10DLC registration that's going to register your company with that phone number. That does cost around, depending on where you're going through the training, it's around $4.41. Then there is a campaign registry one-time fee of $16 and change, which means that you have a total one-time cost for getting your business phone number registered of $20.95. Now, these one-time costs are paid to the phone carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, and to the TCR registration committee in order for them to be able to go through and review and approve your application. Okay, this is very important. I'm going to slow down a little bit because I know sometimes we go a little bit fast so that we want to get you tactically going up and running, but I'm going to slow down so that way you can hear me very clearly about this. Okay, so yes, is this another way for the carriers to be able to make money through the businesses? Probably, okay? But hey, this is what we got to do. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk more about this entire review and approval part of the application. Now, we already talked about, hey, what is this A2P10DLC kind of thing? We already talked about it in the previous training section. If you have not watched that, make sure you go back through that. But for $20, for the history of your entire business, all going into the future, not bad for you to go ahead and get your phone number registered, okay? That is going to be the one-time cost. Now, in terms of the ongoing costs, you're going to see these are extremely nominal. The first one is going to be what is the cost of the phone number to purchase the phone number from the carriers, okay? So for a local business number, that's going to run anywhere between $1.15 and $2.30 per month. And the reason why there's a range there is because depending on the location, XYZ, like in California, I think the business phone numbers to purchase them are closer to $2 per month. Sometimes it changes. Again, these are costs that are paid to AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon in order to purchase the phone numbers for business use, okay? And so this is going to be for every phone number that you use. Now, obviously, if you decide to purchase 5 phone numbers, then you have to pay that monthly amount times 5. But for most of you, you're only going to have really one number, maybe 2 numbers. I don't know why you'd have 2 numbers, but maybe 2 numbers if you have a sales team and you're doing a lot of outbound calling and that kind of stuff, sure. But for most of you, 99.9% of you, you're only going to have 1 number, and that's going to run you between $1.15 and $2. So $1 or $2 per month. Very, very nominal here, right? Now, there is a carrier campaign fee. This is again paid to the carriers in order to keep your registration active. Now, in the actual onboarding process, it is going to say that it's up to $12 per month. However, if you follow our recommendations, which is again, the reason why you're a part of this program and not just winging it, as if you didn't know, if you follow our recommendations, we are going to recommend something called the low volume mix campaign. You'll see that in an upcoming training section. That's about $1.70 per month. So, right. So it's not $12 per month. It's going to be $1.70 per month. So you're at like what? $2 plus $1.70, like at $4 per month so far. Very, very nominal. So that's going to be that. Now, there is going to be usage-based costs. Now, the usage-based costs we have talked about in the past. These are going to be any feature that relies on external services that ClientKit has no control over, right? So ClientKit has to pay external providers in order to allow us and you to be able to go ahead and text message and call and that kind of stuff, right? So the rates as has been communicated to us by ClientKit for US and Canada are on the screen right now, okay? And so that means for about $1 $1, you can send 63 text messages, which is insane. Like, it's a lot of text messages, right? And so you can send a lot of text messages for a very, very, very small amount of money, okay, which is awesome. And then the other thing you got to keep in mind is that this is a variable cost, right? So these over here that we talked, these are fixed costs, $1 or $2 a month, right? But variable cost means the beauty of them is that as your business grows, as you're sending more and more text messages, right, it's making a smaller and smaller and smaller percentage of what your overall revenue is. And so it's extremely, extremely affordable and it's extremely flexible. It's not like a fixed cost there, right? And so the total ongoing monthly cost is going to be about $4 with that registration cost. And then obviously it's going to be based off of the usage-based cost as well. So again, $4 a month to be able to have a business phone number that you can use for automations, workflows, reminders, contact communication, business purposes. Not bad at all. Okay, so this is going to be the breakdown of the normal local phone and text messaging. Okay, and so this breakdown that we just went over, I want you to be empowered before we actually get into the step by step. So that way you are empowered to understand, hey, this is what I am looking at in terms of the cost of my business phone number and the text messaging and all of that. Okay, very important. But hey, you're a big boy and a big girl, and you understand like, hey, this is the cost of doing business. And so you understand, hey, this is what I'm getting myself into. That is what's going to be applicable for 99% of you. Let's now go ahead and break down toll-free. And I'm going to explain to you the difference here so that way you can understand exactly what's going on here. So the second type of number that you can register is a toll-free number. Now, what does that mean when it's a toll-free number? A toll-free number is any number that starts with things like 800, hey, call 1-800, right? 844, 866, or 888. And what you can do is the pro of a toll-free number is that once you actually buy a toll-free number, there's a completely different registration process than the normal A2P 10DLC, right? So over here on the normal local phone area code, there's a up to 4 to 6 week process to get approved, right? On the toll-free number, you can actually start text messaging immediately, but the con is that there's more recurring expenses. Okay, that's one con. And then the second thing is that these are not local area codes. And so you don't really build that trust. When you have clients, let's say in your local area, and let's say, for example, I'm back home in my hometown of Orlando, Florida, and let's say I'm running a business and it's from the 407 area code, people who are in the 407 area code understand like, hey, this is a local number. They're more likely to build that trust around that. And so what you have to understand about this is that there is a difference between the normal registration process here and then the special different registration process here that allows you to start text messaging and doing those things immediately. So the question is like, hey, which one should you pick? Again, I've said this before already. For 99.9% of you, our recommendation is that, hey, you're going to be able to wait up to 4 to 6 weeks. It's not going to take necessarily 4 to 6 weeks, but up to 4 to 6 weeks for the normal local phone and text messaging, because that is going to go ahead and get you set up for the long term. Okay. However, let's say, for example, you're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Cool, up to 4 to 6 weeks. But on top of that, I have additional cash and I want to start text messaging immediately, where only a very small percentage of you, maybe 1% of you, are going to fall into this exact camp, which is like, you know what? I want to spend money to also then buy an additional toll-free number, because then I can go ahead and start text messaging immediately. Now, if you fall into that camp, I want to go ahead and make this very clear, is that there is going to be a completely separate registration process for that. And so if you are going to be going down the toll-free registration route, we are not going to be walking you through the step-by-step of that in this specific training. We're going to be walking you through all of the step-by-step for this one right over here. And then you are going to need to reach out via the community and ask for support on how to go through that different registration process, okay? Because like I said, we're building the training for what is going to be applicable for what is 99% of you. And so if you are that one exception case, you're like, you know what, I want to go ahead and get rocking and rolling immediately with the additional cost, because you have to remember, there are additional costs to go ahead and do that. If you're saying, you know what, bet, I want to do that, then what you're going to go ahead and do is you are going to reach out in the community and get that information there. Now, again, as we continue to say over and over again, is like, hey, do I have a choice in this entire matter? Of course, it's your business. You absolutely have a choice. Now, in our opinion, these expenses are so nominal that if you're going to not try to nickel and dime your way into business, if you're actually serious about making a serious income, you're talking about $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, then $1 or $2 here, all of that is just nickel and diming, small business, wannabe entrepreneur thinking, right? However, for those of you who might just be thinking, you know what, I'm just dabbling right now, I don't plan on building revenue, maybe going down this route may not be the best for you, right? And so ultimately we leave the decision up to you to decide what is going to be best for you. This is the reason why we've built this as a community-based program, so that way you can go ahead and ask there, as well as be empowered to understand what decision is going to be best for you, okay? Now, in terms of what's going to happen next after this, what we are going to go ahead and now do is we're going to go ahead and start breaking down step by step, by step exactly what that process is to go ahead and purchase your phone number, how to get all of your business documents ready for the application process, how to make sure that you can get your business application for your phone number from A2P10DLC approved immediately. Hopefully that's going to be, fingers crossed, the goal here. So we're going to walk you through exactly how to go ahead and do that. The biggest thing I want to go ahead and tell you as we close out this specific training is that the difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength. It's not a lack of knowledge, but as Vince says, it's rather a lack of will, okay? And so what's happening right now is that as you are going through this, you are willing your desired future into reality. Your efforts are turning your dreams into reality. So I would urge you, hey, stay focused, stay driven, keep on chugging along through these trainings. You're doing a phenomenal job. We will catch you in the next training section.